They made their escape in silence. Ash was in open air before she had really thought to move her feet. The smell of a storm brewed in the distance. Of course.
Are we gonna be okay?
We have 5 of the best mages in the mountain. We'll be better than okay.
You're including yourself, Belinda. Hector and Prude seemed both ill at ease. The high spirits of Belinda and her partner did not seem capable of being dampered. Ash merely wondered why she was there.
We'll be great.
The rain fell down on them with a torrential force that left the world around them soft.
You're so useless, Elfnod.
Her voice feigned humor, but the sharp edge to the tone told the truth behind the words.
I am sorry. Shielding is one of my weakest skills.
I am also sorry. I have nothing in my kit that could provide cover from rain.
I don't really expect any of you three to provide a solution.
Prude's hand was above her head, a shield casting aside rain as it fell. The gesture was technically unneeded, but it had always helped her focus.
Unless... Ash, do you think you can grow an oak?
Sure, got a dead one around here.
The vast fields that surrounded the isolated mountains left no such growth.
I am glad we stopped walking, though. That muck would be awful to march through.
If only we had a witch.
A witch requires living or fresh-picked plants for their spells. I think we'd be in the same boat, even with a witch.
Ooh, a boat! Hector grumbled. A flash of lightning crawled across the sky and bleached the earth in pale blue light. In that flare, Ash caught sight of a figure in the distance, pale gray robes, hooded, standing stock still, and as the light faded, lost to the darkness.
There's someone out there.
Who would be fool enough to follow us in this weather?
The lightning burst across the sky, and in that pale light there was nothing. She was sure she had seen something. Her finger pointed at the spot just as lightning struck again. There was nothing.
What did you see?
A figure in a pale cloak.
The group stared out into the darkness. Hector shifted, his eyes betrayed the fear he hid from his face. He drew a strange sword and offered it to Prude. She took it without a word.
We move.
Oh, what about the mud?
We will have to deal with it.
You can't be serious.
Elfnod took in a deep breath, and a small burst of white wrung out from his body. Ash's fatigue faded slightly.
Wow, already learning to heal?
It's not much, but it'll help us last the night.
I wish I had a dead horse.
With that, the group began to march. The dry patch quickly growing thick with mud behind them. The sun had crawled high into the sky. The ground was still thick with mud, but their feet no longer sank so deeply.
I think we should have brought food.
Most likely, yes.
There are a few meals in my backpack.
When were you going to share that information?
When I felt safe again.
Hector, we aren't all as capable as you in the regard of stamina. We need a break.
Hector turned to Prude, who nodded. Taking stock of herself, Ash was surprised to find that she was far less tired than she should be. Had Elfnod been assisting her through the night? Judging by the racket nature of both him and his pair, she doubted it. She dared not say it, but the pursuing Grey Mage may be responsible for her vigor. Ash felt a hint of pride that the thought did not send a shiver down her spine. She was getting better at suppressing those. Hector retrieved a number of capped pitchers, clearly stolen from the cafeteria, and began to offer them around.
The stew from yesterday. When did you get this?
The young cook who watched the ritual gave them to me. I suppose he was as aware as anyone else as to the events that were about to transpire.
Ash raised her eyebrows.
Hey, speaking of transpiring, what happened last night? What's so scary about someone in a pale cloak?
Belinda, that's the traditional garb of a Grey Mage.
Belinda's eyes darted the way they came, and she slowly took a draw from her picture.
We made enough tracks that a blind child could follow us.
Hiding won't work on a Grey Mage, and they can sense magic in much the way the Rod of Finding can.
That's why we were so keen to run, Belinda.
Then why did we stop?
Melinda took a long draw from her picture and offered it back to Hector as she stood up.
Let's go!
The rest of the group emulated the gesture.
We need to move quickly.
Why is a gray mage interested in us?
Because you're 5 mages that are out in the open with no protection other than your own magic, and eventually if you guys tire out, it'll be harder to protect yourself. Gotta save that. From what has been happening, from what we know, like we already gathered that Hector's she already thinks Hector's probably not a gray mage. There's something, but it's not a gray mage. And she also just said that she thinks the gray mage was connected to her. So, or at least was helping her not be tired. So.
Because it's after me.
Silence fell across the group.
I agree.
Another silence echoed.
Wait, why would...
My mark. There's a chance that I am paired to a gray mage.
The silence continued, deafening. Slowly they began to crawl skywards before they stopped again. Prude raised one hand, the group halting at the command, too exhausted to question it. Placing her finger to her lips, she gestured for silence. Her group quickly made to rest. Belinda removed her shoes to find raw, bloodied feet. The rest of the group fared better, most at least marginally calloused, though Ash's feet were still red and cracked.
Owie.
Belinda grew silent with a single look from Prude. When had she assumed such command of their group? Hector cocked his head, turning silently towards Prude, who pressed her ear to the earth. A moment passed.
Hoof beats?
There!
Following Ethnald's finger, Ash saw a force of mounted infantry in the distance. Above them flew a black flag with an intricate white pattern.
Mom?
How would your mother know that we were here?
Oh, I asked a friend to send a messenger bird on the way out. I didn't want to walk the entire distance.
Belinda! I could kiss you!
Belinda flushed and spoke under her breath.
No complaints here. Please do.
Not gonna happen, Belinda. The man missed the comment and Ash grimaced. That will definitely not end well. The others appeared to have missed the comment as well, as they raised their voices and waved. Don't out him. Just keep quiet. Ash grimaced the moment passing. What was that?
They must have been riding full tilt since the other day, even through that rain.
Let us pray they might continue that pace. We need a way to ensure we can escape that damnable gray mage.
Turning behind, Hector threw both hands in the air in an obscene gesture towards the empty plains behind them.
Find us now, shit-slingers!
Don't urge them on.
Oh, I like that one.
Finally learning curses?
It's what Mother would want.
The cavalry seemed to stop then and course-corrected towards their band. The group seemed to breathe a collective sigh, and removing their minimal provisions, they finished off the now ice-cold stew. The Mud Skipper Inn had always been considered quaint and simple. While the beer was well stocked and the beds warm, it would never be considered appropriate for royalty. When the royal guard arrived with the Princess of Celeste and her entourage, the innkeeper found himself debating the merits of asking to leave simply because he lacked appropriate accommodations. Upon actually seeing the disheveled muddy heap of a princess, he reconsidered and wondered what conditions she might have suffered before now.
And make sure that you have all the men housed inside. Sleep in the cellar if you need to. The sky looks foul above us.
But make sure to have 2 guards on duty at all times, with frequent turnovers. We may be hunted, and after only a day's travel, I would not question if the Grey Mage could still catch us.
Yes, milady. Yes, my lord.
I'm not a lord.
Hector made to follow the guard and correct him, but Prude placed her hand on his shoulder.
You are. You're married to a lady. Precedent is that you are now a lord.
Congratulations.
What hell is frozen that Hector is now a lord?
Aren't you the son of a king or something, Elfnod? Does that mean I'm a princess?
No, my father is an elected official.
What does that make you?
Nothing at all.
Belinda looked disappointed at that. The group settled quickly, retracting into a familiar efficiency. Before long, they were bathed and groomed, meeting once more in the center of the inn, where an innkeeper was quick to have his son serve them. The odd, knowing glance fired between Elfnod and the younger man, entirely missed by Belinda, despite the fact she did not take her eyes off of him. Once, warm bread and the tall glasses of mead slowly filling their bellies left the group in particularly chipper mood.
Throwing you out to school won't mean war or anything, correct?
Hardly. There's an unfortunately large amount of precedent for expelling princesses.
Milady, the king asked that we send a message back upon your arrival to a safe place. Would you be so kind as to write something for her?
Of course. I'll be right back.
Prude walked away and Hector turned to Ash.
Are you a lady, Veronica?
No. My mother was a servant, and shortly after I turned 3, I became the princess's playmate. And don't call me that.
What is Prude's father like?
I never knew. He died before she was even born.
Ah, then the queen remarried?
No, the king is Prude's mother.
So the king was once a woman?
No, she's still a woman.
So it's a title then?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, you're from here. You should know this.
Then would that make Prudence a prince? And would it, under the circumstances that we were to wed, make me a princess?
That's only if it has to be a hetero relationship.
I don't think that's quite how it works.
Princess Hector! I think it suits you better than the title of head.
Oh, Belinda.
I agree. I look forward to the marriage.
Hector did not respond, instead retreating into thought. Before any further jokes could be had at his expense, Prude returned. She looked at her pair, still deep in thought.
Oh no, what did you get into his head?
Prudence, I am afraid I cannot marry you. While I do not mind being a princess, I simply cannot handle any excess of pink. And I find dresses far too restrictive of movement.
What?
Hector opened his mouth to explain, but Prude interrupted him with a finger to his lips. She kissed him on the forehead and sat across his lap.
Don't try to explain. I prefer to keep your inner workings a mystery.
Ash felt a twang of jealousy as the two grew close, but for once it was not specific to a lust for Prude. It was the fact that she was sitting so close to a happy couple, jealously pulled at her heart. Where did your body go? Belinda elbowed Ash and beckoned for her to lean down, where she whispered in Ash's ear.
I found the prettiest princess on top of a pile of his books at the library the other day.
Ash raised her eyebrows. That explained a few things. Belinda hiccuped and then smiled at her before turning back to the conversation.
I think I need to step away for a moment.
In unison, the quartet raised their mugs in a sort of mock salute as she departed, the motion almost toppling Belinda, who had ingested a fair bit more than the others. Some called alcohol liquid courage. Ash hoped Belinda did not find enough to make a fool of herself to Elfnod. Ash let herself out the front door and watched her breath curl outwards in a white fog as she let out a sigh. The night was far colder than the last two that had followed them here. Fortune had favored them that they could find shelter from the chill. Ash's eyes turned upward, towards the dancing snowflakes, fluttering like a sea of stars in the reflection of the inn's lamps.
Beautiful.
She spent a lot of time in the night silence, appreciating the beauty, when the significance of the world around her finally dawned. Silence. Given the number of men that were with them, and the fact that they would still be busy stabling horses, the silence was an anomaly. Our horse, still in its saddle, began to walk slowly past, dipping down to chew at a patch of the sparse vegetation. In the distance, she saw a figure in a pale cloak.
No.
Fear held her still for a moment before the hot blood of panic drove her to move. Rounding back inside, Ash found her companions asleep in the den of the inn, nestled in a distilled in a motley assortment about the furniture which surrounded the hearth. She did not let it consume her. The warmth struck her with a wave of exhaustion, and the cold had edged back. She did not let it consume her. There we go.
Wake up. Wake up!
Hector and Prude were on their feet with a swift and practiced ease, both in battle stances, and Hector's left hand a knot of black energy. Elfnod fell out of the seat with Belinda falling shortly after.
The Grey Mage found us. The guards are gone.
Nonsense, the men are just...
He paused as he cocked his head. Could he hear the silence from in here? Hadn't he noticed the hoofbeats earlier? She quashed the thought as he reached for his pack, still at his side.
We need to get to the horses.
They should be in the stables. We must move quickly.
The guards opened the door, keeled over, and a blackened ooze began to pour from his open mouth. Hector drew his sword, handing his pack to Prudence.
Run! I will hold it off.
Is that telling me to run, or me yelling at other people to run? Because I think I am going to help after saving... Can you save for me? Oh.
Like hell you will.
Ash did not even give Hector a chance to register her words, grabbing his cloak from behind and dragging him past her. She freed the sword from his hands in a swift flourish and hefted it. The balance was perfect. It was light and suited for her. She couldn't help but wonder for a heartbeat why Hecht would have a sword like this.
Ash!
No. This is my demon to face. This is my battle to fight. Take Prude and get out of here.
Ash turned away from him.
Keep her safe.
The doorway filled with the silhouette of a pale tan cloak. Ash aimed the blade towards the mage's neck.
Go.
She heard the footsteps faded quickly as they escaped. Slowly, with practiced ease, the gray mage threw back its hood. Its face stained black for a Croesus, though still as animated as a living man's, met her gaze with white glazed eyes. The man sneered.
Hello, girl.
His eyes flickered to her blade. His sneer seemed to deepen.
Do you know what it is you hold?
Admittedly, not in any particular sense. Obviously, it's a sword.
A sword, she says. Does she not know what she holds, Arla? No, of course she wouldn't.
A shiver ran down Ash's spine, and for once she did not struggle to suppress it.
Yeah, I'm going to assume Arla is your pair whose organs you stole.
Stole? No. We became as one.
Ash really didn't want to hear this. She drove forward, concentrating all her effort into driving the blade home. Inside her, she felt a fire burst to life, and all at once she felt as light as air itself. The distance between them was gone in a heartbeat, and the blade tore the air directly beside the gray mage. She had missed, her balance thrown off by her long dress. She wasted no time, slitting her dress from thigh to ground with a slash of a sword. Good idea.
Light and shadow.
She didn't let him finish the sentence, bringing her blade down hard. Ash felt fresh tears. Ash felt flesh tear as the gray mage leapt back, his milky eyes wide. Her advantage, and by extension herself, would only survive as long as she pressed the attack. If the mage had more than a moment to recover, the gap in their power would become apparent. She pulled back from another swing when she noticed the knot of black arching towards her. Desperately, Ash flung herself, trying to evade. The black bolt struck her on the side of her throat as she began to choke. Weakness took her, and grip gave out, the blade clattering to the floor. She gasped, but her breath found no purchase.
Impressive. I hadn't imagined the sword would give you access to both pools.
His mouth meant nothing as his words meant nothing as she clawed at her own throat, desperate for air. He loomed over her.
A beautiful specimen. It is unfortunate you are already paired. I could use a heart as strong as yours.
Stop pressing the button by accident. Somehow, amidst it all, she looked at his hands. His marks were twisted, so abstract she could not tell its shape. This was not her pair. A weight lifted from her, and she tore out the tiniest gasp.
Strange you should seem so revulsed by a gray mage when you travel with one.
Hector. Hector was a gray mage. She had been right, but how? Why? Prude! Her hands closed around a hilt. When had she even begun to grasp for it? Her next movement was more swift than her addled mind could begin to follow. The blade dashed through his neck, his jaw, up through his skull, and out the top as easily as the sword into the soft muck of the training field. The gray mage stood a moment, as though unsure. He convulsed, and then collapsed.
Did I just win?
The response was immediate.
You little bitch!
Nope. The creature surged forward, grabbing her blade and wrenching it free, a black ichor leaking from the wound she had dealt.
Ah!
Ash desperately groped for a weapon, anything. All she found was one of her roses, still fresh, its black petals a stain of dark on the already poorly lit room. She breathed in the smell, searching for strength. And to her surprise, she found it. Something seemed to catch fire in her chest, a burning sensation that boiled in her lungs. With a cough, she let it out. Inky blackness erupted from her mouth, curdling like a plant, sprouting with impossible speed. The growth engulfed the gray mage, and then it flowered. The gray mage's screams were brief before the dark, flower-like flames did their work. Dissolving, the creature slumped to its knees, little more than charred lumps remaining of its extremities. She stared at the body. The full realization of what she had done dawned upon her. Buckling over, she wrapped it with the recent banquet she had eaten. A moment of relief, and she retched again. Hector! Prude! With effort, she found her feet. Ash exploded out the front door, staring out into the silent white night. Hoofprints were being lost in the falling snow, leading away from stables, leading to Celeste.
They escaped, thank the goddess.
Snow crunched behind her. In the darkness, her eyes met a gray-cloaked figure. Silence stood between them. Ash raised the blade with an unsteady arm.
Don't cross me tonight, or I'll end you just like I did the last Grey Mage.
Whoa, okay. This obviously isn't the best time for you. We can talk later then.
Without another word, the figure retreated into the dark. Did that count as a win? Ash decided that would be a yes. Definitely a win. Yay. The celebratory mood lasted about as long as it took her to realize there were no horses left. With a groan, she took a deep breath and broke into a slow trot. Her fist was still clutching the black and white blade, as though she feared nothing more than losing it. As she ran, though, she struggled against them, so too did her thoughts. Yay! It's bloomed again! And this has already gone on half an hour longer than I wanted to, and I need to go make dinner. So, thank you all for watching. Hope you had a good time. See you in the next video. Bye!